Hello, dear viewers. I am a global nationalist. I support nationalism in my country, India, and in all countries around the globe. Today is the fourth Saturday of the month, and so, as per my schedule, I will be making a video about nationalism in a country outside of South Asia. Today, the video will be about the Canadian elections and what they tell us about Canada as a country. Before I talk about the recent Canadian elections, I want to talk about the Canadian electoral system as a whole. Canada is a parliamentary form of government. This means that the government is formed out of members of the legislature. The executive is formed out of members of the legislature. This happens by an election through universal adult franchise. Now, this means that uh, all adults in Canada can vote in specific districts called ridings, which are the areas in the country where politicians are voted into power from, and these are voted to parliament to become members of parliament, and these MPs, as they're called, represent the ridings from where they were elected. And once they are elected into parliament, then the process of forming the government begins. This happens by two methods. One is that one party gets a majority of the seats, and automatically the governor general will ask them to become the government, and they are at liberty to choose whoever they want as ministers. The leader of the majority party becomes prime minister automatically. Then the second option, not option, possibility is a better word, is when no party gets a majority in the House of Commons. And so this causes the Governor General to ask the leader of the party with the most seats to see if he can get the support of other parties so that together all of them can get a majority of the seats in the House of Commons. This is what happened in 2019 when the Liberal Party governed, so, sorry, led by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, gained a minority uh, government by allying with the New Democratic Party led by Jagmeet Singh. And this time, what happened was that the Liberals asked for, sorry, a fresh election. Yeah, so what the Liberals wanted was elections to be held before their term of 4 years was over, which is the normal term for any government in Canada, not just at the federal level, but at the provincial level too. This was done because Justin Trudeau wanted to win a majority of the seats so that it would be easier for him to pass legislation in the parliament. Now, let us see what the results were. Now, what we can see is that the Liberals again got the most number of seats but failed to get a majority. They got 159, which is less than a majority, but is two seats more than what they got in 2019. And the Conservatives also got two seats more than what they did in 2019, but still got less seats than the Liberals. And so the Libs will be able to form the government if they can ally with the New Democratic Party, which they probably already have. And so For the Libs, it's 159 seats. For the Conservatives, it's 119 seats. Then for a party named Bloc Quebecois, which is a party in the province of Canada, they got 33 seats. The New Democratic Party got 25 seats, and the Green Party got 2 seats. And Independents got 0 seats, and the People's Party of Canada also got 0 seats. Now, what does this show? It has to be noted that this election had much lower turnout than previous elections in Canada. And the consequences were that the same result, almost the same result, came up this time. This shows that people were not very interested in this election, and that's why the number of people who voted was less, and that nobody was seeking a great change in this election, which is why the uh, Justin Trudeau came back to power. However, this means that there was no change to either remove Justin Trudeau to power from power or to give him more power. It was simply just a decision to keep him as he is, which is not good for him, but also not bad. Now, why this is, I will explain. Because if Justin Trudeau's governance and his policies over the last 2 years were very popular and the people loved them, then they would have re-elected him with a majority. However, that is not what has happened. And so what and from the what we can see in the election is that the Liberals got pretty much the same number of seats from the same number from the provinces that they got in the last election. That there was no major change in the electoral map for them. The same for the Conservatives. Although the Libs got a few seats in Alberta, which is normally a Conservative bastion, and the Conservatives got some seats in the Atlantic provinces, which is again a Liberal stronghold. But this simply means that both the parties are slowly expanding into each other's space, but still no significant change for either of them. This, I think, shows that most Canadians probably are not very interested in politics, that they don't feel very inspired by either the government in power or the opposition, and that they are okay with how things are being run, but are not overjoyed, are not very happy. Now, how I think Justin Trudeau should interpret this victory of his, because it is a victory, is that he needs to understand that since that he is just a minority government, this means that many people in the country still oppose him, which is why in the western provinces like Alberta and Saskatchewan, he did not win the majority of seats, and he still had to rely on the eastern provinces. Therefore, he needs to be careful while moving forward that he doesn't put pursue policies that again continue to anger the western provinces. However, he has to also appreciate that there were still enough people who supported his policies from the who voted for him in the first election in 2019, who were voted into power after he came to power in 2015. And so that does means that there is still a strong base for him, a strong group of Canadians who support him, and the largest number of Canadians who did vote voted for him. And so he still has support for his policies, but needs to temper his implementation of policies with some concessions given to the Conservative Party so that Western Canada doesn't feel alienated. And that may help him get more seats or the Liberals in the next election, which would be 4 years from now, which is 2025. What will happen in that election is hard to tell, which I will get into later. Um, the Conservatives, led by Eric O'Toole, who was their prime ministerial candidate, lost this election, and this is the third election that they have lost in a row. The first was 2015, second was 2019, and the third was 2021. This is not good. The Conservatives don't seem to understand how bad this is. That this is, they're saying that not giving Justin Trudeau a majority is somehow a defeat for him. No, it is not. It is still a defeat for the Conservatives, and they need to understand that and change what they're presenting to the people of Canada. While they still have support in Alberta and Saskatchewan, and a healthy support in British Columbia, which seems to be evenly divided between the Libs and Conservatives, they have to increase their support in other provinces such as New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island and the other eastern provinces, which will help them gain more seats. And yeah, will that will help them. They have to somehow change. Now, also we have to talk about the Bloc Quebecois, which have won a similar number of seats as the last time, and they are still number one in Quebec, and there's no challenge to them. So I don't think that there's any reason to go further into them. Now, the Green Party got only 2 seats in this election, and they've basically been struggling throughout their entire political existence. They have never won the elections, never, I think, got even more than 15% of the vote. They're never been popular. And so I really, and this has been the case for them for about 30 years. And I think that it's very harsh to say, I think that they actually need to cease to exist as a party because they're not going anywhere. There's no need for them to exist in the political landscape in Canada. They're not adding any value. The People's Party of Canada has doubled its percentage vote, although it has not won any seats. And this is only its second election in competition. And so this is, I think, un, not an acceptable, not an acceptable result, but an encouraging one. And I think that they should continue going forward. They are a conservative party, and I think, will gain if they keep staying true to their roots of conservatism and keep spreading their message. However, if these results somehow reduce their dedication to their core principles of anti-big statism, anti-lockdown, anti-vaccine mandates, and being pro-liberty and pro-religious freedom, if this result causes them to somehow dilute their policies to try to appeal more to liberal voters, and I think that they will actually lose the supporters that they already have, and that they will not gain the liberals who votes that they're seeking, and they would be seeking in that case, because those liberals will already be voting for the Liberal Party. There would be no reason for them to vote for a small party like the PPC. Therefore, I think it's best for them to just stay the course and keep going with what they're doing. And personally, if I was Canadian, I would vote for the PPC. I think that they are the best party, but that's just my personal opinion. And as for special mention goes to David Freiheit, who is a former litigator in Canada who lives in Montreal and Quebec, and he stood for election under the party of the PPC and lost. However, he still got 1,000 votes. This was his first election ever. And as somebody who subscribed to his YouTube channels, Viva PPC and Viva Frei, I'm happy for him. And I encourage him to continue his political career and wish him the best of luck. So, what does this tell us about Canada? It tells us that Canada is still, despite some growth in conservatism, which can be seen the growth of PPC and the slight growth in the seats of the Conservative Party. Despite all that, the majority of the country is still liberal, and the fact that the current the Conservative Party actually is becoming more liberal with each election shows that that's where the country is going. Why this is hard to tell, and I will have to study more into that to understand that. Now, what will this do to the separatist sentiments that are present in the states of Alberta and Saskatchewan? This, I fear that this will actually increase those sentiments because they will feel that they are completely being ignored. Because even though the Conservatives got 33% of the vote and the Liberals got 32%, that the Liberals got the majority of the seats. Therefore, they might feel that the system is not fair to them. And because Justin Trudeau has implemented policies that hurt the oil industry, and Western Canada is highly reliant on that industry, if he continues with those policies, then the secessionist movements in West Canada will increase. Now, personally, uh, don't approve of separatism. I've said this in my introductory video. I think that people should stay together as countries, that it's the best that we resolve our differences. But ultimately, I am a foreigner, so I will not tell people in Canada what to do and will just observe. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to say about these elections and in this video. Thank you for watching. Vande Mataram.